Hand-woven textiles and fabrics have been made in the Indus Valley for millennia. Today, traditional craftsmanship sits alongside a modern textile industry that is the cornerstone of Pakistan's manufacturing economy. The sector contributes over 5% of Pakistan's GDP and provides jobs for 40% of the industrial labor force, working in and around cities of Faisalabad, Lahore, and Karachi. It is important not only as a key source of employment in the region, but also because of its high earning potential in export markets. In fact, exports of ready-made garments brought in $5.3 billion in 2019-2020. But increasingly tough global competition is putting pressure on Pakistan's garment manufacturers. High output costs, low productivity, poor marketing strategies, and a lack of labor skills are holding back growth, while few clothing businesses make apparel using their own designs or brand names. What can companies do to overcome these difficulties and unleash the sector's potential? With support from the United Nations Industrial Development Organization, the Punjab government has taken measures to answer this question.
In Cluster Development Initiative, we are working in ready-made garment cluster, and we have developed a design center which is called Apparel Design and Research Center ADRC in collaboration with Pragmia, and it is operational since November 2019. And it's been developed with the support of UNIDO experts, which were engaged for carrying out industry analysis and development of business plan and the training of staff. And its role is to have the designs locally produced at a cheaper cost and to provide the market intelligence services to the industry, especially the SMEs. And in future, we are working on productivity improvement and e-commerce for supporting the export-oriented industry and to bring the garment foreign exchange reserves up through the exports and value addition. And we are taking the industry one step ahead from the OEM to the ODM, and then we have a plan for OBM.
Set up a portfolio of services delivered through a new design and research center. Developed a sustainable business plan for the center. Secured a refurbished building to house the center and run its operations. Provided training for design center staff from UNIDO international experts. Presented the center at the 2019 IAF Fashion Convention held in Lahore. Collaborated with Modint and Pi-D to support the center. Developed lookbooks and marketing materials. Trained center staff on design cycles, design software, and market intelligence. Provided 7 SMEs with new collections, logos, and product designs. Developed over 150 new designs for the SMEs. Issued 6 market intelligence reports for the center and garment SMEs, and given access to design center services to more than 300 export-oriented SMEs. Among them, footwear. From factories based predominantly in and around Lahore, the industry rolls out 366 million pairs of shoes every year, making Pakistan the 6th largest producer of footwear in the world. Currently, most of this production is destined for domestic markets, with exports making up only 1–2% of annual production. That gives Pakistan a tiny share of the overall global footwear market, less than 0.5%. Now, though, this could be set to change. The industry, which has a long history built on centuries of craftsmanship, is hoping to raise exports in the coming years with an eye on grabbing a larger share of the growing global market for footwear. Between 2010 and 2019, the value of Pakistani footwear exports rose from $93 million to $126 million, a jump of 35%, showing the immense potential of the sector. But there are challenges. A lack of creative designers who can meet demand in a fast-changing fashion environment means that very few of Pakistan's shoe producers develop their own designs, and hardly any own internationally recognizable brands. High operating costs and underinvestment hold back growth, while outmoded technology and low levels of innovation prevent companies from becoming more export-orientated.
Cluster Development Initiative is a project that was conceived and is being executed by the Punjab Government. UNIDO has been engaged as our implementation partner. The CDI team was trained by UNIDO international experts on the UNIDO's methodology. These trainings provided us with the best practices as well as the planning and strategic implementation of interventions for the cluster and effective engagement of the private stakeholders. Because of this engagement, we were able to broker public-private partnerships, and these have been crucial for the development as well as the sustainable execution of the interventions in the industry.
Taking inspiration from countries such as Mexico, Turkey, and Vietnam, which have recently developed own design and own brand manufacturers, UNIDO joined forces with the Pakistan Footwear Manufacturers Association to set up a design hub that would serve the footwear cluster. In all, UNIDO worked with Pakistan's Footwear Manufacturers Association to develop a service portfolio for the design hub. It created a sustainable business plan. PFMA provided a refurbished building for the hub. Staff at the hub received initial training from UNIDO's international experts on design cycles, design software, and market intelligence. An internationally recognized designers club was set up. Up to 30 small and medium-sized footwear companies are being supported to develop new annual collections. Over 50 SMEs have access to the hub's competitively priced services. Staff from 7 SMEs were trained in shoe finishing skills. Since the General Motors Bedford truck rolled off the assembly line in 1950, the car industry has played an increasingly important role in Pakistan's economy. It has developed quickly from the 1980s onwards, and Autoparts is now one of the country's biggest manufacturing sectors, bringing in around $6 billion a year. Growth rates have reached 7 to 8% annually over the past 5 years, boosted by a rising number of assembly plants set up by new entrants into the industry. Together, they help to churn out almost 2 million vehicles a year, from 2 to 3-wheelers to SUVs. Of the 3,000 auto parts companies working across Pakistan, the majority are small, so-called Tier 2 and Tier 3 producers operating at the bottom end of the supply chain. Just under a quarter are Tier 1 producers that supply parts directly to car companies assembling finished vehicles. But there are challenges. Inefficient practices and low-quality production are holding back growth, especially when it comes to exports, which were worth only $16 million in 2020. To help the economically important sector reach its potential, the government of Punjab chose auto parts as one of the 4 industrial sectors ripe for expansion under the Cluster Development Initiative.
Talking about the auto parts industry and the interventions being done so far, that's a very imperative intervention that has been done so far as a pilot project, that is operationalization of a common facility center under Punjab Small Industries Corporation. This common facility center that provides a backbone to the industry, the dies and molds, the imperative tool, that the main production tool that are being used to produce parts for the local and international markets by the automotive part manufacturers. So what they have done is that they engaged an international renowned agency, EFS consultancy from Vienna, and they brought international consultants, renowned consultants here, and they have thorough consultative session with the association and with the original equipment manufacturers, the vehicle assemblers.
With help from international experts, they identified a range of problems confronting the sector. Among them were a poor business environment, low levels of compliance on meeting product quality and standards, low productivity, outdated management systems, and a lack of modern energy efficiency measures or energy management systems. To tackle these issues, UNIDO provided international expertise to build a business plan that would reactivate and re-equip the dormant Auto Parts Support Center. They also helped to highlight joint venture opportunities that would ease the transfer of technology to the auto parts cluster. Added to that, UNIDO developed a plan to improve the productivity of the Autoparts cluster in Lahore and a separate project proposal on energy efficiency for this cluster. Thanks to action from UNIDO and its partners, a business plan was completed with buy-in from all parties. New technology requirements were identified, developed, and shared. 4 original equipment manufacturers, over 30 auto parts suppliers, and 3 international investment companies took part in the business plan development. And a $700,000 investment opportunity was identified. Every year, 150 million precision pieces, such as forceps, scissors, and retractors, are crafted in factories and workshops in and around Sialkot. Building on a tradition of metalwork stretching back to the 19th century. Exports were worth around $355 million in 2019-20, making it one of the country's top export earners. More than 150,000 people work directly in producing surgical instruments in Pakistan, while indirectly, as many as 400,000 jobs depend on this industry.
SMEs of Sialkot requires tailor-made services from the government institutions. Limitation of SMEs in a cutthroat price competition environment severely hindered the trust-building activities and mandatory to carry out joint actions such as in the form of export consortia and networks. UNIDO's CDR methodology has helped us to overcome these critical issues in developing countries' perspective. We now have the competence to engage the private sector, effectively developing the forms of SMEs and joint actions in various domains of challenges. We are using the CDI approach in other different industrial clusters to identify the right challenges and delivering the solutions at par with the private sector expectations.
Thanks to the efforts of UNIDO and its partners, under the initiative, 120 companies received training in export marketing. 70 surgical sector companies received technical assistance in export development planning. 50 companies participated in the export market planning workshops. 32 companies submitted export marketing plans. 8 business development services providers were trained in supporting surgical manufacturers in their marketing efforts. A market intelligence report on 7 target export markets was published. 10 companies participated in a trade mission to South Africa on a cost-sharing basis, bringing in initial orders worth over $1 million, and 3 consortia of surgical companies were developed.